All right, Donald Trump and Sean Duffy, his transportation secretary, have come up with a plan to save aviation. It's courageous, it's patriotic, it's masculine, and it's chivalristic and all of this stuff. But it is being ridiculed to high heaven. Now, hear me out, okay? I think some of the stuff Sean Duffy is suggesting is pretty good. It's just not a solution to the aviation and air traffic control problem we have in this country. I don't know if people are going to be upset with me for this, but some of the things that Duffy is proposing, I agree with completely. I'm going to tell you in a moment. Let's listen. And we have to make sure that all of our audio is configured correctly, and now it is.
We've seen an uptick in maybe a degradation in civility in the airspace, and so I thought it is appropriate to. Again, you can't legislate that, right? You can't mandate it, but I think if you ask people, could we do better? Could we be better? I think you won't get a better result unless you make the ask. And so I'm just making the ask. Let's all travel better together. And again, I think it honors our country, it honors our families, it honors our fellow passengers. And so I've made the ask, and I think we can do a better job. And by the way, most flights are pretty darn good, and people do behave really well with one another. It's just a few of those times where, again, don't take your shoes off and put your feet on the chair ahead of you. That's just, or maybe don't play your movie without headphones on. There's some simple things that can annoy the folks around you that we don't have to do that. And so just be cognizant and courteous.
Yeah. Listen, I have to tell you, we have a real problem on airplanes, okay? Stop with the kicking my seat. Just please stop kicking my seat, okay? Stop shaking my seat when you get up to go to the bathroom. Please stop taking your shoes and socks off on the plane and pressing your feet barefoot up against the bulkhead and then crossing your feet to the point where your bare sole of your foot is now near my crappy little bag of pistachios or whatever it is. I agree with all of this. Stop putting your long hair over your seat so it covers the TV screen on the TV screen that I'm trying to watch. I agree with all of this stuff. And keep your socks on, please. By the way, here's a picture of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on a commercial plane with no shoes and no socks on. I agree with this stuff. But this is not what the Secretary of Transportation needs to be focused on. We've got to deal with air traffic control. We have to deal with airport meltdowns. We have to deal with ground stops. We have to deal with understaffed or undertrained individuals. And by the way, it's sort of rich to say that now they're all worried about decorum when this is MAGA. This is maybe the least decorous political movement that I have ever seen. But listen, I could give you more. Why are you pushing up to the gate before your group is called? Just wait for your group to be called. Why are you stepping in front of me when I see on your ticket that you're in group 9 and row 55? It's going to be a half hour before you board. Why are you walking all the way up to the gate right now? I try to be there on time. I board with my group, even when traveling with kids. And the headphones. I was just on a flight recently. There was a guy watching a loud show with no headphones. Put the headphones on. But in all seriousness, how about getting people trained, competent? Let's get fully staffed air traffic control. That's what we fundamentally really need here. Here's Sean Duffy offering more advice. What about helping weaker people put their bags up?
Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. I think that's positive. If we can help someone as we're getting on the aircraft that might need some help putting their bag in the overhead bin, and you're a little stronger, a little buffer.
Yeah.
You've been lifting. Stand up and, offer to grab that bag and put it up for someone who's having a more difficult time.
Listen, in all seriousness, all this stuff is completely fine, but it's another example of putting the individual ahead of the structural. And this is something that Republicans and sometimes it's not even a Republican thing. We just often see in society. We have a structural problem, and you have legacy and corporate forces that try to make it about individual action. A classic example is the plastic straws. and you look at the carbon footprint of straws and you see individuals being told, listen, you got to use a crappy paper straw, or we've made straws out of pasta noodles or whatever. You've got to now suffer with a crappy straw. And meanwhile, it's really industrial pollution that is the vast majority of the carbon footprint. And it's the transportation sector. And it's like, okay, listen, we can have the straws or not. But even the idea of pushing the responsibility for dealing with this onto the individual to choose a paper straw instead of a plastic straw doesn't really make sense. And similarly, what we are seeing here is these we have structural issues with aviation, airports, infrastructure. A lot of our airports really are pretty crappy. We still have air traffic control issues, et cetera. And saying, hey, don't wear pajamas and help somebody put their bag up. To their credit, there was a reporter who asked about this and said, you're kind of putting the onus on the passenger. And is that really logical? Here's how Sean Duffy answered that.
I was talking to passengers this morning about your civility campaign. They feel like it's putting the onus on passengers to create a more pleasant air travel experience. I know you're putting billions of dollars into this revamp for ATC to make that better, but can you talk about what you're doing immediately on your end to help with the air travel experience and talk directly to passengers here?
Well, so I would just tell you, I mean, yes, can everyone do a better job? Can TSA do a better job? Can we do a better job as we bring more air traffic controllers online and we get a brand new air traffic control system up and working so we have less delays and less cancellations? Yes.
Yeah, that's fewer delays and fewer cancellations. Anyway, that's what we're talking about, Sean. That's what we need you focused on, okay? It's fine to not wear slippers to the airport, and people, listen, it sounds dangerous. I think you need to wear a proper shoe at the airport regardless, but let's fix some of the structural issues, which he seems completely in over his head with. A pending Supreme Court case could strip our Fourth Amendment rights and allow immigration agents to come into our homes for any reason, no probable cause needed, all while Republicans try to twist things so that you think this is all great for America. This should be the biggest story in the U.S. right now, but it's almost impossible to keep up with the millions of moves that Trump is making every single day. That's why Ground News exists. Ground News is an app and website that exposes the blind spots and spin before it takes control of our opinions. Ground News is the smarter, more reliable way to stay informed when MAGA is banking on us getting distracted. I'm partnering up with Ground News to give you 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use. So you'll pay only $5 a month for all of their premium features. Just go to ground.news/Pakman or use the code Pakman in the app when you sign up. The link is in the description or scan the QR code.